Do I know about cannabis use in ancient Hebrew temples? I do. Here is the temple in question. And I love this archaeology side of things. So today I'll bring data from two different digs, one medical, one spiritual. I'm Lex Pelger. I do canna education for CV Sciences, the makers of Plus CBD. On the cannabinoids, ask me anything. Here's the paper in question if you want to read about it. This dig is from about 2,700 years ago. And while they knew all about frankincense being used among the tribes of Judah for this incense purposes, they had no idea about cannabis. And this is the first reports of hallucinogenic psychoactive use by these tribes. This is a recreation of the Arad shrine. The authors decided not to call it a temple. They're like, it's not big enough to be a temple. It's a shrine. But in the middle of this shrine, you see that place to burn things. Well, when these scientists analyzed it, they found in that residue THC, CBN, and CBD, as well as a number of terpenes. And so this was being burned in the middle of their shrine, and assumedly it was enclosed. So this could have been a primitive form of hotboxing, and everybody getting a psychoactive effect. Maybe it wasn't strong enough for it to be causing a psychoactive effect, but it is a reasonable guess. Also, add to that what I've said previously. If in the Hebrew holy books, cannabism is cannabis, then the recipe for becoming a king or a priest was to take about a pound of weed, put it in olive oil, and let it soak, and then drench yourself in it, which would probably be enough for a psychedelic level of cannabinoid activity. And so, for myself, I think that's probably a great thing for any politician to have to do before they lead people. So this discovery only came out 3 years ago, and normally archaeology and cannabis isn't the fastest moving of fields, but we have an even earlier report that is in some ways even more interesting. For the medical use case, this comes from around the 4th century, and it is the first evidence of the use of cannabis as a medicine in the Middle East. We knew about it with the Egyptians and the Assyrians. The Greeks and the Romans would have seen it as a minor medicine, but there's been no evidence of it being used in the Middle East until now. In this paper, Early Medical Use of Cannabis by Zias, that you can look up on PubMed, you have a young girl, she's only 14, and unfortunately she died in childbirth, probably because she was too young. Her hips weren't big enough for the fetus. But what they found on residue on her stomach and around her was something that appeared to be cannabis ash. It tested positive for THC. And it appears that what the midwife had done was use the cannabis as an inhalant and had this young girl inhaling cannabis through the course of her delivery to help with the pain and with the delivery. So while this young girl did pass from trying to deliver a child, she probably did so with some more ease because of the cannabis. And for anyone who's paying attention to the history of this stuff, it makes a lot of sense. From Ina May Gaskin, who is the mother of midwifery in America, she really brought back the idea of midwives helping people have their children at home. Both our kids were born at home. It's wonderful. I recommend it. 10 out of 10. But Ina May Gaskin, though she doesn't talk about it that much publicly, is absolutely in favor of cannabis. And when she was working on the farm, that famous communal living in Tennessee, she was often using cannabis to assist with births. Ethan Russo has a great paper on the use of cannabis in the history of gynecology and obstetrics, the delivering of babies. This has a long, widespread use. And so here is some evidence from the 4th century in the Middle East of people using cannabis for childbirth that just confirms that this is one more area where this makes sense.